What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Martian and Ozzy podcast. I am the Martian, joined by my co-host, as always, Ozzy. How we doing this week, my man?
Pretty good, like I told you, and I alluded to when my breakdown of Mark Striegel. I needed a deload week last week. Been super busy doing a bunch of stuff, so needed to take a little week off. Didn't the books like that because I had a terrible week last week. I'll still go to my grave though, saying Gregory Rodriguez got robbed. If they're judging MMA like that, it's way more sketchy. I feel like I, don't- there's way more variance. I feel if you're gonna start judging fights like that. But other than that, I think my read on Terrence McKinney not too great. Lost a few units there, but just 8 units down. More or less. But Bellator was all right that week as well as not PFL, LFA. So decent. I think washed away most of that. But onto the pay per view week, big fight card, a lot of intriguing fights, a lot of ranked guys fighting up and down the card. So let's get to it.
Yeah, great card this week, UFC 272. That's what we're here to analyze. But pretty bad week for me as well last week. Lost 3.8 units. Ozzy and I didn't talk too much about which sides we were on last week, but unfortunately, we did end up on a few of the same losing sides. I do agree. Rodriguez, Kim probably got robbed. Bobby Green didn't really show up, looking to win too much. And just I spent way too much time talking about that fight last week. Obviously, it only lasted 3 or 4 minutes. I probably talked about it for twice as long. So that's how it goes sometimes. And just moving on to this week, we got a really good card. Good prelim fights, a lot of interesting prelim fights, and then a really good main card as well. 5 round co-main event, non-title fight, RDA and Moicano. We're really looking forward to that one. And then, this little bit of a grudge match between Colby and Jorge. So it should be a really fun pay per view. And let's get into analyzing these fights. So the first fight is in the light heavyweight division. We have Dustin Jacoby minus 200, Oleksiejczuk plus 170, and Ozzy's going to start this one off. What are you thinking about this light heavyweight matchup?
I think it's a pretty interesting light heavyweight fight between two guys that obviously their main strength is their striking. Mikal, this guy's got a dynamite left hand. He's just obviously he could probably make 185, but he just very energetic in there, especially in that first round, bobbing and weaving. He just finds the chin. I don't know what how this guy does it. Like it's just a skill for him. Like this, from that lefty stance, he's coming forward, he's bobbing and weaving and he's looking to drop that left hand on you from multiple different angles. Jacoby last fight kind of turned. It was a weird performance for me because usually you see him kind of coming forward, hunting guys down, looking to land a big punch. Last fight, for some reason, he just turned into like a junkyard man, like he's just throwing a bunch of junk out there. Like that's why his strike count, if you look at the stats, is so crazy high. And he didn't finish John Allen because he was just I don't know throwing a bunch of strikes out there that they'll score points, but they're not really fight enders at all. Not really doing that much damage. He's like, fainting his, front kick for like, 30 seconds of like a entire round. So I think Mikal is just way more effective with his striking. Jacoby has, decent leg kicks, but I mean, every guy that this guy Mikal's fought has, that advantage. Like they'll look to chop at his legs because his boxing is so strong. But I feel like Jacoby, he's gonna underestimate this guy. I feel he's gonna stay in the pocket too long with him. Jacoby's used to he's not used to a guy like a power puncher like Mikal. So I think Mikal's gonna find his shin over and over and over again while Jacoby throws less powerful strikes his way and eventually win. I don't know if it's by decision, knockout, don't know what it is, but I like Mikal's game in his matchup against a guy like Jacoby, and I like him to win by knockout.
Interesting. So, I'm gonna disagree on the first fight on with this one. I'll pick Jacoby here, and I just think that he's gonna be a little bit too effective with his distance management. This big cage should help him a lot with this pay per view. I think if I was in the Apex, it would probably favor McCall a lot better. But I just see this being similar to the Bukakis fight against McCall. That was a really close fight. All 3 rounds are close. McCall pulled away at the end a little bit in round 3, and I definitely think that McCall is the bigger hitter. If he's winning this fight, it's going to be by knockout. So I probably recommend the McCall no scorecards prop as well. I'm sure you're going to be on that as well, Ozzy, because Jacoby just hates finishing. I mean, even if you watch his fight against like Cody East, Ty Flores, some low level fighters, he just cruises to a decision there. And like Ozzy was saying, did the same thing against Allen, just kind of took his foot off the gas. And
Mikal is
I could see
undefeated in decisions, never lost.
that's true. I did see you say that, but the Bukakis decision, pretty sketchy. He could have lost the first 2 rounds there, but also round one was like a complete toss up. So I won't spend too much time, debating that. But
Who's
I'll
Jacoby
lean with
beat in
Jacoby
MMA?
by
Come on.
decision here. I just think his distance management, orthodox striking, his jab, his leg kick.
He's not beating this guy with leg
The
kicks.
likes of Darren the Dennis Stewart. Yeah, hey, bro, he technically beat our boy Max Christian, however that happened. So the judges like Jacoby for some reason. So McCall no scorecards, I'd say, is probably the best bet there. Um, Next fight that's going to be in the lightweight division, short notice fight. Devontae Smith taking on Ludovic Klein. We got Smith minus 160, Klein plus 140. I'd say this is probably the fight I have like the least confident lean on the entire card, just because Klein's coming in on short notice, very short notice. I think like less than a week. He's moving up to lightweight here. And I just don't know really what to make of this fight. It's a striker versus striker. We could see Klein maybe hit some takedowns. He hit some takedowns on Trezano briefly. Maybe he could do that here versus Smith. But I could see either of these guys knocking each other out early. Both have power. Klein with those head kicks. That southpaw fast boxing or that fast dynamic kickboxing style. I could see being effective here at 155. And I just think Devontae Smith is not that good. He has never been to the decision. He's been in round 4 one time and he did win, but he's never been to a decision. Very untested late in fights. Mullarkey melted him in the second round there, and I could just kind of lean towards the dog here at Klein with Klein as the value side, but hard fight to be confident in with a short notice. What are you thinking here?
I mean, obviously, like you mentioned, fight that just got put together. Um, Klein is a guy with the southpaw stuff coming back that not the best guy to fight on short notice because it's very easy to mess up. One of those kind of just blocks, from that side, and this guy just KOs you or severely hurts you with like a body kick or something like that. But with the line coming back in like his way, people definitely betting him, and this being under plus 150, not a fight that I'm gonna be involved with. Just like you said, I think the hands and the boxing of Smith, I think is for sure going to give Klein issues, and then coming back the other way, um, I think it's gonna be difficult for Klein to get his offense going right away. So and he's not that proven of like a long term, late in the fighter. I don't know what the reach advantage is here either, but I feel like just the jab and the speed of Devontae could keep him safe enough with just activity from getting hit with big strikes early on. And then this guy just has to level up and be able to fight later into a fight. So yeah, I think I'd pick uh Smith. I'm not interested in betting Klein. So I'd actually be more uh inclined to bet on Smith if the line came in under minus 150.
Interesting.
So
You
if it
said
really started to
inclined.
narrow.
Inclined. Is that a little bit of a pun on purpose there? Um,
No.
Also, Devontae Smith did get knocked out by Kama Worthy, so I don't know about betting that guy as a favorite. So always keep that in mind. Next fight, flyweight division. We got Tagir-Ulanbekov taking on Tim Elliott. Tagir minus 211, Tim Elliott plus 181. This line has come in a bit the past few days. What are you thinking about I believe, the only flyweight fight on the card?
Yeah, man. So Tim Elliott, is just such a hard guy to handicap. I feel just, I don't know. You don't know where he's gonna take the fight. Typically, like here against Sagir, like I mean, Sagir's probably the worst out of all these guys. From what I've seen, he's 30 years old, so he struggled in all these fights that he's had. Like that Nascimento fight, that was a struggle. I saw that. I was watching that one live, and then the Bruno Silva one also was kind of weird. And now he's got a guy in Tim Elliott who is probably like just overall larger than both of those guys, right? Like he's just bigger. Um, American wrestling background. So I could see how this will be a more competitive fight and people wanted to bet on Tim Elliott. But Tim Elliott, this dude just does not win fights, man. Like, I don't know. Hopefully, he needs like a grudge. Like, he needs to turn on that shit that he had with with Jordan Espinoza, dude. So hopefully, the fact that Tagir is Russian, dude, it freaking drives him up. Gets his blood boiling, given their invasion of Ukraine. I don't know if you heard about that, John. I know the listeners don't know, but you are part Ukrainian, so
That's true.
I want to make sure it's out there
Good
in
inside
case
info.
you need in case you need to stand next to Usyk. If Usyk summons you, you must show up. So anyway, um, so I just think that Tim Elliott is liable to get his neck caught up in something. I don't know. I'm curious to see, is he gonna launch an all-out wrestling attack, or is he gonna mix up with the striking? No one's really held this guy to gear down, but Tim Elliott's not the one to do that either. I just think that Tagir is probably gonna have a hard time holding Tim Elliott, so he could be maybe put into a prolonged striking battle. So I'll side with Tim Elliott if I was gonna bet this. I would not bet on Tagir, no way, no how. But it's Tim Elliott by decision. It would be where I would bet be most confident.
Yeah, I'm on Elliott here as well. I already got a bet on him plus 225. And, I only went 0.75 units. I can't go like too heavy on the guy considering, I mean, he had that fight against Nicolau, I mean, he didn't necessarily have it. It was 1-1 going into round 3, and he just laid on bottom for a really long time in round 3. I don't know what the hell that guy was doing in that fight, and that just shows, like, extremely questionable IQ. I don't know what's going on with the guy, and like Ozzy said, I mean, the dude isn't the greatest at winning fights. I mean, he's constantly in close fights. He's never really blown out of the water, but he's also just not good at really putting those closing touches on a fight as well. So Tagir on the other side, just really underwhelmed by this guy. Mostly like a lay and pray artist. I'm fine labeling that guy as that. I mean, he gets his leg lit up with leg kicks, doesn't check them at all. Not really that great of a striker. He can wrestle all right. I mean, he is a decent grappler, but he just doesn't do enough on top for me. He lays in full guard, and Alan Nascimento was able to land some strikes off his back over some submissions, and that fight was like a split decision win for Tagir, and Tagir had like a lot of top time in that fight, and the judges still found a way to score some of those rounds for Nascimento off his back. So that just goes to how to show how little Ulanbekov does on top. So I think the grappling will be close here. Elliott's got a good chance to end up on top. I think Elliott can land a lot of strikes, be aggressive on the feet, and I think he'll fight for your money. Even at this plus 180 price, I think we're going to be headed to a close decision, regardless of the winner here. So can't be too wrong on Tim Elliott, especially at those plus 200 prices if you're able to get them. And that's going to take us to the next fight in the bantamweight division. We got the undefeated prospect Umar Nurmagomedov taking on Brian Kelleher. Umar minus 650, Kelleher plus 475. I'm really high on Umar. Really dynamic kicking game, great offensive wrestler, grappler. He's got that Dagestani style grappling, but also has some really nice kicking to go along with it. So I'm excited for this guy's future, and I think he's probably going to run through Kelleher. I don't see Kelleher having much of a chance outside of a knockout here. Umar looked, great against Morozov, was able to hurt Morozov on the feet, finish it on the ground. It just looks like a great wrestler. He transitions to the back take so quickly after he gets those takedowns. And I think he's probably just going to out wrestle Brian Keller here. It just is a matter of whether he's going to finish or not. So that's the question I'll pose to you, Ozzy. What are you leaning with here? Umar by decision or Umar inside the distance?
Yeah, I think this is gonna be a bad fight for my boy Brian Kelleher. One of my favorite fighters, to come out, like active kind of guys, like just like the dudes that just take fights. They're not really gonna get a title shot, but yeah, definitely Northeast legend. But here, at 145 against this dude, Umar.
35.
No, 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 this is at 145. Um, so I don't know who asked for it, but it's definitely at 145. So Umar, I
I'll
mean,
look
this
into it.
guy, I'm just guarantee you, trust me. This guy's grappling is just way too strong. I feel, Brian Kelleher. his offensive wrestling and his top grappling is okay, but if you start putting pressure on this guy with grappling, you could definitely submit him. And Umar being just so much stronger than him, I think here at this weight, yeah, I feel it's like a credit to Kelleher that I'm saying he's going to get finished, because on the feet, I don't think Umar really is going to want to be there with Brian. I'm not saying that Brian's like a super technical striker, but he remains dangerous. So what I think is going to happen is Umar, he's going to feel him out on the feet a little bit, not really think that, hey, this will be an easy fight on the feet, and he's going to be super aggressive, trying to take Brian down. And instead of throwing ground and pound, I think he's going to be looking to progress position to submissions. So yeah, I'm going to try and take some of this like uh, under or uh, Umar by like submission round one, round two, something like that, just to boost up that price point. But yeah, I think he gets a submission here over Kelleher.
Yeah, I agree with that. He doesn't really throw much ground and pound at all, so I'm leaning with submission. And you are right, it is featherweight. Tapology has it 135, but the UFC website has it 45. That's interesting. Um, I don't know who requested that as well, but enough said about that one. Next one takes us to the Fighting Pride of Ukraine representing the country
Oh my
this
god.
weekend. Women's flyweight fight. We got Maria Agapova minus, let's see what she's at now, minus 178. Marina Moroz plus 153. You could start this one off. What are you thinking about the
This is the
one of the
real grudge
few
match.
women's fights on the card?
This is the real grudge match. This is the real one. So I mean, people don't notice it. Two ATT grudge matches on the same card. Kind of funny. Um, but yeah, I mean, Agapova definitely sold this fight after she knocked out what's her name? Mazo. She was just going through all the M's. After she knocked out Mazo, definitely sold this fight because of Moroz is telling people she was like on crack or some shit. So very funny. Agapova's insane. I mean, this girl is crazy. So, she looked really good in her last fight. Like, her speed, like she was crazy fast in that fight. But I also think like you also have to remember she fought Mazo, and Mazo is one of the worst athletes, even on the women's side, because she's just like taller and stuff. It kind of like hides like how bad of an athlete she is. So always have to take that into account. Moroz, on the other hand, she's kind of she's a pretty strong girl. She's has some tough fights in UFC. So I could see why you want to back her as an underdog and just go against women's MMA chalk, which is always a good idea. I kind of see it here, especially if this fight is going to go later on. Even though Agapova did look all right, like her cardio did, but I'm just gonna fade this chick, man. She's fucking crazy, and there's no way that she should be this big of a favorite over a veteran like Moroz. So I'll just take Marina Moroz. I think that like she's not gonna be able to hit her as hard as she was hitting Mazo, and Moroz has great cardio. So if anything, round three is 1-1. I got plus 150, and the girl with better cardio. I like that. I like those odds.
Yeah, I'm liking Rose here as well. I locked a bet on her plus 180 a few days ago. She was one of the dogs I was viewing, right when the new card came up. And I'm a little bit concerned about the speed, the striking of Agapova. She does have some real fast hands. She knows how to strike moving backwards, and her punches, look like they have some solid technique. Her kicks as well, but she does have some problems. With the clinching with grappling, I'd say that that's going to be the game plan here for Mraz. Get the fight in the clinch, look to hit some takedowns, look to catch some kicks. And I think Mraz, she's a smart woman. She knows how to get the fight into her range. She did that versus Bueno Silva. Kind of a similar analog to this matchup where Silva's dangerous on the feet. She's was landing a lot of strikes on Mraz, but Mraz ate them like with no problem. I mean, she got lit up in round three, got cut real bad, still was able to win the fight, stay in that fight, and was getting hit a lot in round two. But right when she's getting hit a lot, she finds her way into the clinch. She gets that takedown, and she caught a head kick and got a takedown in round one too. And I noticed that she's really good on top. She throws a lot of elbows. She knows how to, get heavy on top and half guard and just rain down elbows. So I think she's going to make the most of her top position. And she's also hasn't fought for 2 years, but she's had 4 fights canceled over that time. So she's been training this entire time. She's been training at ATT. I tweeted out the picture of her and Joanna getting some rounds in together. Um, I think she's going to be showing some improvements here. You had some audio coming through, Ozzy. But so the line has come in a little bit, so I do feel pretty good about the Moroz bet. But I do see this being a 29-28 on either side. I do think this one's going the distance. I think the goes the distance line -135 is a pretty playable line. I mean, women's MMA at -135 goes the distance. I think they're probably overrating Agapova as a finisher here. And Moroz is very comfortable in the role as an underdog, cash as a dog in both of her most recent fights. So I think that she'll do that once again here, get the fight in the clinch, the grappling, and win a decision here. So I'll be riding with the power of Ukraine as well. Although Denise Bondar a few weeks back, not a good start for the country of
Well,
Ukraine.
he
But
got fucking wrecked. He got
yeah,
fucking wrecked.
but that was by Malcolm Gordon though, so he has an exception. So
Holy shit.
next fight, we got light heavyweight division. Some long names here. Kennedy and Nzechukwu taking on Nick Nurmagomedov. We got Kennedy
Mm.
-136, Nick +116. Man, I'll try to keep this one short. I mean, I just don't think you could be laying chalk on Kennedy in any kind. I mean, this guy is just a bad fighter. Just not a great athlete. Uh, Not a great chin. Doesn't make the best in-fight decisions. Not really a proven defensive grappler. I think Nick just comes forward. He's got a block head. He's really durable. I think he's just gonna come forward, put up volume, throw some pressure boxing behind him like he did in the Alexa Kammer fight. His cardio looked good. He went for the full 3 rounds in that fight, and he might even mix in a takedown or two too. So I like the pressure, the durability, just the output of Nurmagomedov. But I could see this one being maybe a better live bet too. Kennedy's speed might be a bit too much for him early, but I think as the fight goes, we're going to see Nurmagomedov wear on him and probably win a decision here. What's the goes the distance +188? That's wide. What are you thinking?
Yeah, man, I don't really know. I feel like I don't got too much in this fight, I'll be honest, but this Nick dude, I don't know. I feel like if he's not gonna be able to wrestle Kennedy, which you saw our boy Danilo Maia tried his mightiest, and even when you get these good positions on him, like you're not really able to drag him down or very easily. Even though he looks harmless sometimes, that junk fight, was a terrible performance by him. But now you're getting him at, I mean, wasn't this the same price that he was against Jung? Wasn't it like, oh no, maybe Jung was a
No,
favorite.
Jung was -130.
All right.
Yeah.
Either way, I don't like this Nick guy. I don't know what it is about him, but like the fights that he has had, like you don't know what is he? He's gonna come out here and wrestle Kennedy? Is that is that how he's gonna win? Because he's not winning like a kickboxing fight. I don't really think he's gonna win a kickboxing fight against Kennedy. So I'll let this sign keep coming in, and if it does keep coming in, I think it comes into a range where a little bit of juice on Kennedy. I argue with you saying Kennedy's not a good athlete. I heard he runs like 18 miles like every day or some shit like that. Can you do that?
On
Can
a
you
good
do
day,
that?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll
Yeah.
tell you, a lot of UFC light heavyweights can do that, and Nick Nurmagomedov definitely can't fucking do it. So give me Kennedy, this blockhead dude, to just come forward, and put some elbows on Nick, get some payback from, that last one that he ate that put him to sleep. So I think he's learning. So he's like, yeah, he's like a Saiyan. Every time you kill him or hurt him, he's gonna just come back a little bit stronger, learn a new technique, that technique that killed him. So Kennedy by elbow, that's probably like 70-1.
Well, if you know my philosophy on Fortis MMA, you should be
Where
betting these
does
guys
Nick
off a
train?
loss.
Where does Nick train?
I don't know.
You
Wait,
don't
wait.
even
Let me
know.
finish. But I'm saying this is a supporting argument for Nzechukwu.
Okay.
Fortis MMA fighters much better coming off of a loss than they are coming off of a win. That's like a statistically proven thesis that I've been working on for the past few months,
Right, I'm
years.
in.
Um,
I'm in.
All right, so that's going to take us to the next and last women's fight on the card, women's strawweight division. Probably a number one contender type of fight here after Carla and Rose goes down. We got Marina Rodriguez minus 250, Yan Shannon plus 210 on the comeback.
Mm,
Brazil versus China here.
mm.
What are you thinking about this one?
I mean, Jan got completely destroyed in her last fight. Was not competitive. Looked like a child. It looked like Carla was wrestling a girl in high school. So, I mean, Marina's my girl, and I'm so upset that I, bet on Mackenzie Dern last fight. But this girl's my girl, and she's a savage in there. I think she's the justified favorite, but there's not much margin here. Uh, on top of that. So, I mean, I can see this being a prolonged kickboxing fight where Marina does just start smashing this chick, and hurting her with big punches. But I mean, Jan, she's a decent athlete herself. She throws out some kicks out there. I'm gonna play Marina in some way, one like either by decision or just like by knockout, just for fun. But I'm gonna take one of the two, and I don't know which one, but I'm gonna take one of the two props because I'm not laying 250. But I think she's in like I think Jan. The thing is with Jan is she's gonna have to at distance. I don't think she's good enough. She's gonna have to come in close, and this girl is just too nasty with the high knees and the elbows and stuff, and too active. And then if she does get taken down, she's just looking to get up, and Jan, her jujitsu sucks, so there's no problem with that. So I'll take Marina. I just think she's gonna chop at this girl's legs, start landing that jab, coming back with the hook, and then just unloading on her. So I could see the finish though. So I think I'm gonna be on Marina KO.
Marina no scorecards minus 260 is steep, but probably value still. Yeah, I mean, I don't see Shannon winning the fight. I think she has tools to make it close. On the feet, you got to give Marina a pretty good advantage. The clinch striking, big advantage to Marina. But then Yan does have some okay trips, some throws, some takedowns that she can hit from in close. But she doesn't really do much on top. Not really much of a top position grappler. So even if she gets these takedowns, I don't think she's going to be doing a whole lot with them. And on the feet, Yan's boxing could make it close, but Marina's just much more diverse striker, better clinch striker. And I think that she's probably just going to win a decision here. It'll be, 29-28. It won't be super decisive, but I think I would be pretty shocked to see Yan win. I was kind of thinking Yan would be value, early in the week, but not really seeing it too much here. These Chinese fighters not really doing too well lately. The past few years have just been rough for Chinese fighters in the UFC. So, goes the distance though, minus 225, Marina decision plus 100. I think that Yan's tough enough to stay in there and to make it to a decision. So yeah, you're probably onto something with that Marina decision. I don't see a knockout happening. But Marina should definitely be in line for a title shot after whoever wins Rose and Carla, aka the Cookie Monster. Let's get that rematch in with Marina and Esparza. So that's going to take us to the last fight on the prelims, lightweight division. We have Jalen Turner as the favorite over Jamie Mullarkey. Turner minus 154, Mullarkey plus 134. So both these guys cashed as dogs in their last fights. Very grateful to both of them. Both fun fighters as well. They should match up pretty well here in this last fight in the prelims. Um, but I'm kind of leaning towards Malarkey at these prices. Malarkey's just a tough guy and extremely durable, and he knows how to pressure. He knows how to mix in his striking with his wrestling. He has wrestled in like 3 out of 4 of his UFC fights. The only fight he didn't was against Kama Worthy, where he just knocked him out in less than a minute. So Malarkey is a pretty dedicated wrestler. He knows how to pressure. He's got good cardio. You saw him have a bit of a rough round one versus Devontae Smith, but then round two just kept up that pressure, started wearing him down, hurt him, and then just swarmed him like an animal to finish that fight. And Turner kind of did the same thing, showed a well-rounded game against Medic, but I think Malarkey has just been in there against tougher competition than Turner has. Turner's past few wins, all really one-way traffic, very little resistance put up by any of those guys. And I think Malarkey is going to be his first, real test in the past few years. And I could see Turner starting fast, having a good round one, winning the round, but Malarkey pressure wrestling, adding up in rounds 2 and 3, and maybe stealing this decision late. But really competitive, fun fight. The pre-fight line, I'd say is about accurate. Malarkey's probably going to be a better live bet here. So, you thinking along the same lines here, Ozzy? What's your read here?
I love this fight. I think this is I would probably put this at like one of my top 2 or 3 fights, that I'm looking forward to watching. Both these guys actually very young as well. Um what's his name? Turner is only like 26. And I think Malarkey's, still not 30 as well. So, but overall I feel Malarkey doesn't get any respect, at all from the bookies, from betters, no one at all. I know, people definitely like Turner in his last fight, but I think people are like looking at Jamie Malarkey as if he was like a similar fighter to Medic when he's, I think, one, much more skilled, two, just a lot smarter. Jamie Mullarkey, he didn't make it to UFC because he was the most talented, the fastest, the quickest, like the most technical, and none of that. It's just how he can mix stuff up together, how he could keep a certain pace, and how he could be competent in many aspects of the fight. So I think that how this fight goes is it'll be Mullarkey being a little bit tentative on the outside, just trying to stay away from some of these straight shots that Turner is launching in. But as the fight goes on, I think he's going to be able to time up, coming in a little bit, and we're going to see some grappling here in this fight. Whether it be the clinch, some takedowns from Malarkey, even Turner, maybe grappling as well. But I just think it's going to be a competitive fight. I think I'm going to stay out of it. In terms of the money line, I would lean though towards Jamie Malarkey. I just think that he's serially underrated, and just some of the tools that he brings and the fight that he's gonna bring, uh, it just gives trouble to guys like Jalen Turner. But I like this over, and I like just any iterations of this fight going deep. So I'm gonna try to get this over. Starts round 2, starts round 3. All those things. Because I don't think that we're going to see a finish here. I think both these guys are tough. I would actually think like a Turner just like snatching a neck off of like a club and sub or like a transition or Malarkey shooting in is like the most likely way it finishes. But yeah, I like the over 1.5, 2.5 in this fight.
Yeah, kind of a weird line for it to be 1.5, don't you think? Yeah, it goes the distance plus 178 too. So yeah, I agree with that. Probably gonna see a later fight here. Um, Malarkey sub plus 1100 too. Not a bad line. But that's gonna take us to the main card here. 5 fight main card. The weakest fight is the first fight, and we're gonna start right there. Heavyweight division. We got Sergey Spivak minus 190. Greg Hardy plus 165. So you could start this one off, but you should consider that Sergey does have some Ukrainian roots. Spent a lot of time in Ukraine,
You
fought in
sure?
Ukraine a bunch. I don't
Did
think
he
he's got
really?
like heritage, but he has fought in
Who
Ukraine
are
and
the
spent a lot of time
Moldovans
there.
with? Are the Moldovans NATO? I don't feel they're NATO. So I
I don't know.
wonder.
Were they
I
in the
wonder.
USSR?
I don't.
I don't
Dude,
know.
you're the Ukrainian.
That's true.
But
That's true. But
we got to see who has their people in. Do we have our people in, or does Putin have his people has his people in? So I'm not too
I'll,
sure.
I'll, I'll
I don't want to
investigate
get
that.
too political. I want to remain neutral. If push comes to shove. So anyway, so Sergey Spivak versus the fake Moldovan monster. I mean, at this price, I mean, people are betting Greg Hardy. I'm gonna be quick with this. People are betting Greg Hardy now, and like I told you guys when this guy was fighting Tom Aspinall, this dude Sergey Spivak's terrible. He does not have good striking. He does not have good conditioning. He does not have good striking. Like this guy's bad. Did I already say that? Or good wrestling? He can't really take you down quickly. He needs to like hang on you and do all this stuff. And I think against a guy like Greg Hardy, that's not good. That's not a good skill set to bring because you want like yeah, you want to be grindy, sure, but if you're just grinding and like hugging a guy against the fence, like that shit is not gonna work. It's not gonna win you the fight. You actually need to be close to taking him down. And Sergey Spivak, he just folds the tent, dude, when you hit him hard. So Greg Hardy could do one good thing. He could hit guys hard. Um, if you remember, Marcin Tybura won basically using what Spivak has to do, but he was a much shorter favorite in that fight. It was like pick 'em. So I think Greg Hardy's just drop a nuke on this guy at some point. I don't know if it's like right away or maybe Greg Hardy has learned and the fight goes later. So unfortunately, I got to pick Greg Hardy. Just Spivak he's bad, man. This guy, he tricks a lot of people into thinking that he's a good fighter. He's not. He's bad. So give me Greg Hardy at plus 170.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far to say Spivak is good, but I think, just the fact that if he gets on top one time here, I think the fight should be over, is enough for me to side with him here. I just think that he's somewhat intelligent enough to get this fight to the floor. Well, he was the last guy to beat Tai Tuivasa, right? Just made real easy work of Tai, taking him down over and over. Vandera took him down, Philippe took him down. So 3 out of 4 of his UFC wins, he has taken the guys down, and so I think that he knows what is working for him. He knows that Hardy melts on bottom, and I don't think the guy is that flaky in terms of his durability. Um, he did get finished by Aspinall by Harris, but those guys I think are a different tier of hitter than Greg Hardy. I mean, Hardy went to decision with Sasoli and Jorgen De Castro. I mean, he's kind of adapted a more like you know tentative and round winning style. He kind of tried to swing and bang versus Tai Tuivasa and got clapped there pretty quickly. So, um, I'll take Spivak here. I really do think one takedown is all it should take for him to finish Hardy with some sort of ground and pound or sub on the mat. So I'll take.
Yeah, you're right. I just hate Spivak. Like I cannot trust this
Yeah,
guy.
well,
I'm not betting on this fight. I'm not
you gotta
touching him.
hate Greg Hardy too.
No, I hate him too, but
Um,
just Spivak is just like such a pretender.
That's true. Yeah, and Spivak's unfortunately his sub and TKO prices are exactly the same, so there's not really much value there. I don't think. I think Hardy will give up a neck, um, but yeah, I mean tough
I feel
fight to
like
bet
that
on. Not really
under
much
is
appealing
okay.
there.
Like that under that if that fight finishes, it's gonna finish early. Like, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean hard to imagine that one going to the decision. I mean,
I feel
minus
like
220 could
yeah.
be short on inside the distance there.
Okay.
But it's just so sad that we have to watch Greg Hardy on pay-per-view main cards too. I mean, like what is this whole experiment? Um so that's enough of that one. Next fight, this is, just an incredible fucking matchup. I mean, how could you not be excited about this fight? We got Kevin Holland making his welterweight debut as the minus 330 favorite. You heard that right. 330 favorite over Cowboy Oliveira plus 270. We haven't talked about this fight yet, Ozzy, but have a feeling that you're going to be interested in your boy Cowboy as an underdog, as you typically are. Is it your turn to start this one off or what? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure, but I mean, Cowboy. I mean, the only reason that I'm interested in Cowboy, Cowboy, is because it's Greg Holland's first fight down at 170, and I mean, this guy was weak at 185 with like fully hydrated and all that stuff. Now he's cutting weight, and he's fighting Cowboy Oliveira, who I mean, this is an interesting fight because I think usually Cowboy wants to finish fights early, but in this fight, I think he needs to fight get the fight going later because Kevin Holland he's still gonna have those attributes that he had at 185, right? This guy's got huge hands, right? Big reach, is dynamic. If even if he's on bottom, he's trying to hurt you. So, I think if I had Oliveira here. Oliveira by decision is what I'd be looking at. It's like plus 500. That's an okay price. I wouldn't be looking to play Holland, but I can't blame people who were like would like parlay Holland and say, hey, like Cowboy Oliveira, he's competitive in these fights, very often, but at this point in his career, he can't really put guys away, and the guys that he has beat were. They were like average fighters, which Kevin Holland at 170, he could be kind of be a problem for some guys, and he just like a very similar fighter also to Cowboy Oliveira. So, you know, I think obviously I said that value. I think that decision price I think is okay because if it does become a sloppy fight, Cowboy probably can survive and he's like taking him down and stuff. But yeah, I'd still pick Kevin Holland to get the win.
Yeah, I mean, I'll pick Kevin to get the win for sure. Gun to my head pick, obviously, but minus 330 is crazy. I mean, I think this guy is just historically overrated by the market. I think his past five, fights, Just very dysfunctional. I mean, 5 or 6 fights. Yeah, the last time I thought he actually looked good was the Joaquin Buckley fight, but I mean, Darren Stewart got stuck on on bottom in round three for a long period of time. Arguably lost that fight in like rounds 1 and 3, I think. He beat that bum Ontiveros, that weird knockout with Jacare, and then got taken down and smushed on bottom by Brunson and Vittori. The headbutt versus Dacus can't really take much from that. I just feel like people overrate this guy as a really good fighter. I mean, he's not a very like I said, functional fighter. He doesn't fight very consistently. He doesn't really have a path that he goes to often. Sometimes he strikes, sometimes he grapples. But I really think that in this fight, whoever gets a takedown here is probably going to end up on top for a long period of time. Both guys are very known for getting stuck on their back for long periods. Cowboys' cardio, I would definitely say, is a huge concern. The guy only seems to have about 10 minutes of cardio in him. Was 1-1 heading into round three versus Nico Price, and just kind of gave that fight away, getting taken down there and put on bottom. But it's just hard to lay this chalk on Holland minus 330 at his welterweight debut. You don't know how his chin, his cardio is going to look at 170. You don't know how his strength is going to look. So Cowboy plus 270 is definitely the side here, but it's hard to put much confidence in this guy at all to win fights. So if you're betting on Cowboy, keep it small. And have you seen this sub line for Holland, Ozzy? Plus 850 on Holland sub. Uh,
Yeah,
that's
interesting. Interesting.
that's worth some cheddar, I mean, I think
Interesting.
that's I mean, knockout is plus 120, but sub is 850. What the hell?
I
I mean,
don't know. I don't know.
Even when Oliveira gets hurt, he tends to get clubbed in sub, that happened twice recently. Randy Brown and Shavkat
Bro,
both clubbed and subbed him.
Kevin's arms are so long. Yeah, he could wrap up a rear naked choke from anywhere.
Darcy,
Or Dars.
yeah.
Yes.
Um, Randy Brown versus Kevin Holland, that could be fun in the future. But enough about that one. Really fun one. Another great
Why
matchup
you
coming up
promoting black
next.
on black
Featherweight
crime?
division. Yeah, it's not Black History Month anymore. We can do this. Um, anyways, Bryce Mitchell taking on Edson Barboza. You should have laughed there or something to make it less awkward. Jeez. Um, but Bryce Mitchell minus 163, Edson Barboza plus 143. So, obviously the epitome of a striker versus grappler matchup here. Much more experienced guy in Barbosa. And I feel like you always got to be pretty interested in Barbosa as an underdog. I mean, the guy has performed well as an underdog throughout his career, but he's also facing a very dedicated wrestler, heavy top pressure guy, which has not gone well for him over the years. Obviously, the two comparisons that you can make, not really completely fair to make, but Kevin Lee and Khabib both did have a lot of success taking him down, keeping him on bottom. And I just feel Barbosa's get ups on bottom are just bad. I mean, once the guy gets taken down, he tends to accept bottom. And I think if we see a Mitchell takedown here, he's going to stay on top until the end of the round or until he finishes. I don't see Barbosa being able to escape that bottom position. So it seems like a matter of, can Barbosa knock Mitchell out on the feet before getting taken down? Because I think one takedown and Mitchell will be so heavy on top for so long that Barbosa's energy could be kind of zapped after that. Maybe he had some miracle flying knee like he did against Dariush back in the day. But tough matchup for Barbosa here. Makwan Amirkhani was able to get him down a few times. Dan Ige got him down recently at featherweight. So I think we're going to see Mitchell, do that typical approach he does, swing those big overhands, and then duck right into a takedown, get his takedown, and get that really good top game going. I like watching Mitchell on top. I mean, the guy transitions well from mount. He attacks subs. Really fun to watch. So I'm leaning Mitchell to get the job done. Don't
Yeah.
know about sub or decision.
Yeah. So I mean, looking at this fight, interesting matchmaking. I didn't really see this fight coming. Striker as potent as Edson against someone who, Bryce. I think there was a few times where Feely got back up, where I was kind of nervous for Bryce, being on the feet there, but then he immediately took this guy down once again. I think the bigger issue here is that the agility of Edson Barboza moving around. It's kind of hard to career corner this guy. Even on these wrestling attempts where you're trying to chase him down. So I could definitely see Bryce having a very hard time, and then Barboza just starting to pick at him at distance. And I mean, if Barboza hurts this guy at all, I think, it's going to be really hard for Bryce to claw this fight back because Barboza's just going to go on all out kill mode. Uh, Bryce is probably start flinching a little bit, and I don't really think that he's going to probably be able to come back from that. So, because of that, I think I'm going to stay off the Bryce money line. Not the best odds range at either for me. Um, and what are the props here? What's the over or the under here? I think,
Two and a half minus 105.
if Bryce does get him down though, I think he's gonna twist him up, no pun intended. I'm not calling the submission, but I think that he's gonna quickly passes. Like if he's able to have Edson Barboza flat on the mat, I think it's a short night for Edson. So um, I mean, I'd probably look under or nothing just because I feel like, they're just gonna scrap like two freaking dogs for the last piece of food. So, so yeah, I think maybe the under, but yeah, I think I'm gonna avoid this fight. And Barboza keeps cashing though as the underdog. So tight lines here. So yeah, I'll pass on the fight.
Yeah, I don't really see too much inspiring either in the odds here, but fun matchup for sure. And then that moves us to the co-main event. We got a 160-pound catchweight fight, short notice co-main event, 5 rounds. Was supposed to be RDA versus Fiziev. Fiziev got injured, and our boy Hanato Moicano jumped in. He said he wants fights. He says he wants to get paid, and he jumps in on short notice. So he was probably looking forward to this short notice fight for the past few weeks, and he gets his 5 round
This
spotlight.
this is a fight that I like a lot. So I like this fight here. And so Moika,
Let me just say RDA
yeah, go.
minus 160, Moicano plus 140. So what are you thinking about this?
Yeah, so I like this fight, put together here. Um, Moicano, as long as his weight cut, and all this stuff is okay, I think it's a pretty good matchup for him against Dos Anjos. I mean, on the feet, you know, obviously, Moicano's biggest issue is getting hit clean, getting, hurt, getting knocked out, blah, blah, blah. But RDA, his power, I don't know if it's still there, all that much. And that uh Felder fight, he looked good. He landed good shots and all those things, but he didn't really want to be at range of Paul Felder. He wanted to, continue to grapple there. I think that Moicano, hand speed wise, I actually think might have a little bit of an edge here on RDA. And I just feel, if these two guys are kickboxing against each other, I kind of like Moicano's chances a little bit more than I would say like the market and most people do, just because some of the combinations that he throws out there, like yeah, if you're gonna hit him on the chin, you better hit him, clean and hard, because he's coming after you. And RDA, he could get backed up a little bit, at 155. He's still, I'm not gonna say he's unproven, but he just. I think some of the power is sapped because of, I mean, this is a brutal weight cut for him. It's a tough weight cut. You see how hard he's working on the bike and these UFC embeddeds and all that. But I mean, he does get to do this at 160, so that is maybe a little bit of a concern. But he doesn't have a lot of knockouts. Is what I'm trying to say. He's only got 5 knockouts in his career, and like one of them was like Ben Henderson when he was definitely on the juice, like a very long time ago. So I feel like that muffles a lot of the concern with Moicano. And then if RDA is really looking to grapple a lot, I just feel the defensive wrestling of Moicano is actually pretty good. And even if he does get taken, like he's never really wrestled a grappler, a fellow jujitsu guy like Moicano. And I just feel like on the feet, Moicano's longer. He's gonna be troubling him, and on the ground, I think he can neutralize him. And I feel the weaknesses of Moicano aren't magnified against a lighter hitter like RDA. So I like him at this plus number. Anything above plus 130, I think is very good. So I think I'm gonna have to play him soon though, because people are steaming him down. This was plus 155, 150. So I think the sharp side is definitely Moicano. I don't think RDA is gonna be able to get these takedowns. And I think Moicano, his cardio is fine. I feel like I think you were talking about his cardio, but I think his cardio is fine. So I'm looking forward to this fight for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is an amazing matchup. Really looking forward to this one. I kind of do hope Moicano gets the win just because he's going to be around for longer. I think it would be better for his career trajectory. But I love both these guys. Both fan favorites. I do feel, RDA is much more prepared for these 5 rounds, been training for this 5 round fight for the entire time. Is probably definitely hitting his peak right now in terms of his physicality with his training camp, not in terms of his entire career. But, Moicano did just fight a few weeks back, 3 weeks back to be exact. Looked real sharp against Hernandez. Had a good round one, but ended round one a little shaky. Somehow the judges, the 2 out of 3 judges thought he lost that round. And, some people were talking about Moicano gassing. That the live line had Moicano at like plus 150 or something like that. And he was able to just come out in round two like a bat out of hell, hurt Hernandez with some strikes and got a nasty back kick and, choked him out really quickly. So, kind of reminded me of like Roy Royval and Pantoja, where people were just making too much of Pantoja slowing down, and all of a sudden he comes out and just finishes him in round two. So, really good performance from Moicano there. But his past 4 wins have all come, or his past, 4 of his past 7 fights, let's say, where he's gotten a takedown, he's won. Where he hasn't gotten a takedown, he's lost. So you see that his winning is very correlated with that grappling, having that grappling advantage. And I just don't know that he's going to be able to rely on that against RDA, because I think that he is probably the weaker wrestler. He's not going to be able to easily out grapple RDA like he did Hernandez and Demir and Herbert and Cub Swanson and whatnot. So I think Moicano is not going to have that typical grappling advantage like he does, and he's going to have to make this one close in the feet. I also think another bad thing for Moicano here is he doesn't have that calf kick of his, because it's an opposite stance matchup. So he's going to be have to hitting that inside leg kick of RDA, which I don't think is going to be as effective. And I think this line is about right. I think that that's all I have to say really is the line is about right. Maybe look to live bet this one. You do have RDA off the 15-month layoff, but I had some concerns about him going back to 155, and he squashed all them. He went hard 5 rounds. It was a pretty easy fight for him, but he wrestled heavy. He looked good over the 5 rounds. He made the weight, and now he's having an extra 5 pounds up to 160, which should alleviate some of that pressure as well. It can't be easy for Moicano to be cutting weight, back to back weeks like this too. He probably got pretty heavy after his last fight. But last thing I'll say is I did
I,
notice also Alexander Hernandez landed a few clean left body kicks from the southpaw stance on Moicano, and Moicano didn't really have an answer for them. So look out for that tool of RDA as
he didn't
always.
flinch
So
either.
yeah, he ate them
Moicano
shits.
ITD. Moicano ITD. That's like 3-1, 3-1 in a 5 round fight against this version of RDA. That's a good line. So that's my pick for the fight.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I do think that Moicano is more likely to win inside the distance than winning 3 out of 5 rounds. I think if it hits the decision, it definitely favors RDA. You probably agree with that, right? If it goes full 5, it's probably going to be an RDA
No,
win.
I only positive vibes from Moicano.
Interesting. And he's in denial about the GOAT RDA's chances. RDA top 20 fighter ever. So don't count this guy out. But awesome matchup. Really looking forward to that fight. Interested to see who wins. Not confident in either side there. So maybe you guys should just trust Ozzy and go with Moicano. And that's going to take us to the main event. A little bit of a grudge match here. Former teammates, former training partners. You got Colby Covington as the pretty massive favorite, minus 315. Jorge Masvidal plus 265. So I'll start this one off. So, like I said, these guys used to train together, ATT, used to be, really good friends, roommates, and whatnot. I tweeted out earlier in the week a video of them. There's a video of them like wrestling in their apartment for like an hour straight from like 6 or 7 years ago. Really fun video that you guys should check out. But I'm a pretty big, skeptic of Colby Covington. I don't think the guy is as good as people make him out to be. Obviously he's got incredible pace, output, cardio, good wrestler, but I just feel this guy doesn't do a lot of damage when he gets the takedowns. He doesn't have great jujitsu. He doesn't keep you down. He doesn't land a lot of ground and pound on the feet. I think his strikes are on the weaker side. He doesn't really have much power behind him. And I think Masvidal the much better striker, much harder hitter. He's a good kicker. He's a really good boxer. Got power in both of his hands, and he's a pretty competent defensive grappler. I mean, he's hard to get down on the mat flat. He's hard to control. He will get initially taken down, but he's good at working his way back up to the feet. He's skilled in the clinch at getting off that cage, and I just see as one of these guys being the much harder hitter, the much more damaging fighter, and I think that we're going to be heading to a decision in this one. I think that it's going to go the full 5 rounds, and I just see Masvidal doing more damage. Threat pick is this fight going the full 5 rounds. That's at -135, -136 some books. I think this one is going to see the full 5 rounds. I mean, at those concurrent odds, that means this fight finishes inside the distance almost 50% of the time, and I just don't see it being that high. I think it's more like 30 or 40% or something. So there's some pretty significant value on the goes the distance here. So I'll pick the dog. I'll go with the dog to win straight up Masvidal by 48-47.
Yeah, hey, man, I like Kobe in this fight, and I'm hoping that Kobe, if this gets under like 280, maybe, I think I'll be interested in the Kobe side and putting some kind of bet on him because, I mean, just Masvidal to me, he just has not looked dangerous enough in that like those 170, like those fights against Usman. Like this guy, I don't know, like his cardio is actually kind of not that great. Like in that Uzma fight, like yeah, some stuff happened, but this guy was breathing hard and it was a 6 minute, right? Like that fight went on for 6 minutes and he was kind of breathing hard there. And I mean, I just feel like if you look at this guy's body of work, Masvidal, these fights go past like short into that second round, he just kind of falls off, quite considerably. You just look at all his fights, man, all of them, and it just happens. So and then like and if it goes the full distance, he'll like barely win. Like he's always involved in like these split decisions because he's a crafty dude. And after he does lose some gas, right, some steam on his shots, he knows how to like stay competitive. But he ends up losing some of these fights. And I think a guy like Colby is just a bad matchup for him overall. I do think there'll be some points that could be competitive. Obviously, Masvidal needs to have big moments on the feet. I think he needs to hit that body, right kick to the body. You saw that that bothered Colby when he fought Usman both times, but specifically the first time. But yeah, I just think that Colby's gonna grind this guy up. In Masvidal, he's Kobe's really good, and he just knows how to pick his spots when to throw big strikes, and then he's you can't get this guy off of you. Like this guy just keeps moving to the next best position and making you counter him, and he won't let go, and then eventually you just kind of stop playing the game and he takes you down. So I'll take Kobe here. I think more Masvidal money will come because just Masvidal has gotten to that point. Um, and hopefully this closes like more like I think this is wider than both times Masvidal fought Usman. So I hope it gets to that Usman range where it's like 250, 260. I'll take a decent bet on Colby if it gets there. So I think he's easily 75% in this fight. So if you get that under that, I think there's still some margin even here, I think. So this is a depressed line
The
here
line right now is about the
already.
same as it was against Tyron Woodley not that long ago too. So I don't know, man. I just feel
I think
Kobe's
this is,
wins. He just all of age bad.
but yeah, but he was obvious. It was obvious
It
that
should have been 9 is 900. Yeah.
Yeah, the Tyrone fight was bad price.
But yeah, I don't know. I just don't really rate his wins that highly, honestly. For Colby,
Yeah,
his
let's
his
see.
his durability did get dropped by
Let's
Usman,
see.
did get finished by Usman. I just feel, he could get caught on the counter here and coming in. I think that no outcome besides Colby by finish would really shock me. I think I'd say Colby by finish is definitely the most unlikely outcome. So if that happened, I'd be pretty shocked. But Colby or Moss decision, Moss knockout wouldn't really surprise me. But just hoping for a competitive fight. What about so you think it's going to go the distance then? If you think Kobe's going to win, right?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I would say go this distance.
And what about -135? You think there's value there or what?
That is -135 for to go 5 all 5.
I'd say so.
Yeah, I think that's good.
I'd say so.
Yeah, I mean, if I say Kobe's got, there's value on Kobe. I don't think Masvidal's finishing this dude. So I think you need to have like the club and sub. Um, I mean, Masvidal darsing him would be fucking hilarious, but I don't think it's gonna happen. So yeah, just because I feel obviously Masvidal KO is like the most likely for it to end inside the distance, I would probably fade that. And yeah, so
Oh,
if I can get good money on Kobe, I'll definitely take a position on GTD.
all right, so let's do our best bet parlay. How we doing? I think again, like the other week, the last podcast we did, mine lost and yours won. Is that what? I don't even remember what the
Last the last one that we did, no, I think mine's lost as well. I picked
that would be
what was
sweet
it?
if I was right on both of them.
Damn, I don't remember
It was
what I
the
did
walk,
that one. Oh, I did the over in the Johnny Walker fight. So
really. And then
stupid.
I did
I,
Benitez,
yeah,
so we both lost. Cool, cool.
I don't remember.
So this week
Yeah.
I'll pick the goes the distance in the main event. The Colby Masvidal goes the distance
Wow.
-135.
Wow. Nice one. Okay, so you do that one. I'll take that Turner Malarkey over 1.5. So
Com-
-155.
Comes out to
So
+186. The pretty similar odds to our Green and Cannoneer bets, which both won. So good vibes on that.
I think these will be good unless Malarkey gets like fucking punted in his chest and he goes down from not
I
being able
don't
to
see
breathe.
that.
I think that
I don't
fight's
really
still gonna
play
be
overs, but that over 1.5, maybe I'll jump in on that action,
that's
uh,
good money.
just to mush
Good
it.
stuff.
So, all right, goes the distance on Moss and Colby main event, and over 1.5 in Turner Malarkey is our best bet parlay, and that's gonna do it for the podcast. Just over an hour on all these fights, solid 13 fight pay per view, good prelims, really good main card. What's your level of excitement for this one?
I like it. I'm definitely, my main event is the first fight is Mikal. He's the fucking best. There's a reason his name's Lord. You see his topology picture. This guy's badass, man. This guy's That's another thing you need to know is light heavyweight full of these European dudes. These guys don't fucking play, man. So yeah, given that they're starting with my main event, I fucking love the card. I give it a 10 out of fucking 10.
Nice, nice. I hope I
And
last week I had Hernandez. You had Altamirano in I got the best of the opening fight last week.
it's
So let's see
terrible.
who goes in.
Altamirano won that fight. Low key. Low key he won. Low key he
I
won.
don't know.
How are you gonna not give him that fight when he's landing those clean body kicks? But you got that guy Petrosian landing into Greg's fucking arms and Greg's, strangling him, stretching him out. You think you want to put your kneecap on your fucking face? No. You're forced to do that. And Greg did that to Petrosian. He still lost. I hate it.
Yeah, bad
I don't
judging
like it.
last week. We still got a bad sour
I don't
taste in our
like it.
mouth from last week. So hopefully we can get back and get
Greg's
back
so
in the.
fucking dumb. Why didn't he grapple more, bro? Like, bro, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is why these guys over at freaking what's it called, the Sanford? I
not
don't know, man.
not the
They
greatest
need a
intelligence. Yeah, I know
consultant.
they do.
They need No, that's not what I'm not saying they're not intelligent. I just feel like they can make
Fights
these
easier.
very simple decisions they're indifferent to. Doesn't matter to them. That they can win these fights. I mean, but Greg won that fight. Greg, I'm so high on Greg.
Me too.
I'm
I like
high on
RoboCop.
Greg. Once he gets that shit right, he starts fucking grappling. He's gonna be a good cop. He's a good cop. Yeah, last week he was a bad cop though.
For sure, let
Bad
us
cop.
down. All right, but
Bad
enough
fucking
about
cop.
last week. On to the next week. I think we'll be back in the green this week. Some interesting underdogs in this card, and yeah, hope you all enjoyed the card. Hope you all get some good information, win some bets off it. And any closing thoughts, Ozzy? All right,
No.
thanks for joining us, everyone. Hope you all enjoy the card, and we'll see you before the next UFC card next week. Peace out.